So currently we have 35 active members, and on average we'll get anywhere from 8 to maybe 11 people per call. And that's after hours. If it's during the workday, it's a lot less.
Of the nearly 30,000 fire departments nationwide, 82% of them, 24,208 departments, are all or mostly volunteer. In New York, the percentage of volunteer fire departments exceeds 90%. Catskills communities rely on volunteer fire departments to respond to everything from chimney fires and wildfires to car accidents and floods. Our Catskill firefighters are our teachers, accountants, town board members, reporters, shopkeepers, moms, and dads. When a call comes in, our neighbors and friends respond. And while the number of calls is trending higher, the number of volunteers isn't necessarily keeping pace. There are a number of factors, including two-income families and heavier workloads, aging communities, college graduates moving out of their hometowns, and perhaps just a general shift in volunteering values. I think back to an interview my friend Josh Roy Brown and I recorded in 2017 with Phoenician native Gene Gormley about the history of his town. As the interview was wrapping up, Gene signaled for us to keep the camera rolling. There was one more thing he wanted to tell us. Here's Gene with that postscript.
You know what I would like to hit on if we could, because I think it's really important, and that's volunteerism. In my time growing up as a kid, volunteerism was really important. The fire company, the community, life's blood, really, in a way. I mean, it was what everything that you'd get in the form of any emergency services other than our ambulance was from the fire company, and the men in the town really responded. Now you see signs at all the firehouses, help wanted, help needed, volunteers wanted. People are not volunteering. And it's not just for fire companies. People that were in the various churches volunteered for fundraising and so many things. The Rotary Club used to have 40 members, and now we're down to I don't know how many. But volunteerism is really a important thing to me. I think we all, need to take our responsibility in the community. And I'm glad I had a chance to say that.
Almost a decade later, Gene's voice still reverberates on this issue, and the need for community volunteers has never been greater. For today's show, we could have visited any one of the Catskills volunteer fire departments, but it just so happens that our friend Lissa Harris invited us to visit the Margaretville Fire Department, where she and other volunteers from both Margaretville and Kaatscills met up for joint training on blitz attacks. That's a firefighting technique where a high volume of water is rapidly deployed to knock down a well-established fire before firefighters can enter a burning structure. We met up with Training Officer Jon Schebesta, who was rigging pallets and rope to approximate windows. These would be hoisted from a ladder truck in the field behind Freshtown Marketplace for target practice from powerful truck-mounted water nozzles called deck guns. I'm Brett Barry, and this is Kaatscast at the Margaretville Fire Department in Margaretville, New York.
My name is Jon Schebesta. I'm the training officer, a lieutenant, and also the president of the department. Tonight we are setting up for our drill, which is going to be a blitz attack drill. And what that is where we use the deck gun that's mounted up on top of the fire truck in order to hit the fire hard and fast upon arrival. The goal of that is we will be essentially knocking the fire down and trying to give ourselves back some minutes that we didn't have because fire always beats us. So right now, at this moment, I'm putting together a makeshift 2-story house out of some pallets and rope in order to give our firefighters a target to hit when we get down there for the training.
That's a small target.
Well, it's not too far off from a window. So we're going to hang this off of our ladder truck to simulate pulling up to a house. So essentially these will be hanging in the air, and then we'll be able to shoot at it. It gives us kind of the projection that a house is at this level. So it's called blitz attack, B-L-I-T-Z attack, where we just hit it with a deck gun. We send all the water that's in the tank through the deck gun, essentially snuffing the fire as much as we can, cooling it, and kind of slowing down its ability to grow any larger until we can get further assets on scene and start handling the fire better.
And a deck gun is truck mounted?
Deck gun normally mounted up on top of the truck. They can be portable units as well, but it's a large volume gun that's mounted right to the actual pump itself. If you have a large fire, and if you don't end up with a lot of people right away, this is just another method to really snuff that fire down quick until we can get more personnel there. It's just another way of fighting fire.
How often do you do trainings like this?
So we do trainings at least once a month. Normally every Tuesday we're up here doing something. But at least once a month we do a good rigorous training in order to keep everybody's skill set sharp and keep everybody up to date on any changes.
Is there a requirement for people to be here if they volunteer with the department?
If you're volunteer with the department, there is not a requirement to be here. It is encouraged because you can't be good at something unless you do some good bit of training to go along with it. But there's no requirement to be here. But at least once a month, we do have to do it for the state.
How many volunteers do you have here?
So currently we have 35 active members. And on average, we'll get anywhere from 8 to maybe 11 people per call. And that's after hours. If it's during the workday, it's a lot less.
And that's just based on who's available, who responds? And
Sure.
How do you know who's coming?
So we use a cell phone app called I Am Responding that we check in on that, and that allows the officers for us to know who's coming, who we have. That'll give us a better idea if we need to start calling for mutual aid, try and get other departments to come to help us.
Is cell coverage an issue here?
Oh, absolutely. Cell phones, the cell phone spectrum does not like mountains.
How does that affect your operations?
It is trying. The cell phone coverage is, for that app, does make it difficult. It also does impact our radio communications. There are certain spots in our district where the radios do not work along with cell phones. But it's, we adapt and overcome. We've got some measures, steps that we've taken in place in order to maintain that communication at least to the 911 center.
Lissa Harris jumped in with some of her own response perspectives.
When we come rolling up to a scene, a lot of us are in our own private vehicles, so people are going to get there at different times. It's not like we all meet up and go over at once. So, having that little bit of situational awareness on who's coming can be useful.
Not everybody arrives in a fire truck.
No. They're going to have different vehicles dispatched depending on what kind of a fire it is. Is it a brush fire? Is it a fully involved structure fire? Is it a smoke investigation?
And it's not just fires, right? What kind of things do you respond to?
We set up the landing zones at the hospital, so whenever there's a medical evacuation from Margaretville Hospital, we're out there setting up for the helicopter to land. But also, all kinds of emergencies in the community. I mean, the reason that I joined was after seeing how much the department was, or how all the fire departments around here were on the front lines during the flooding from Hurricane Irene, which, I was a reporter covering that, and so was kind of seeing the role of disaster response in the community and figured it was something that I should get involved in. But any kind of a road incident, or wires or trees down in the road, or natural disasters, you name it, the fire department is on the front lines.
This would be a good time for you to introduce yourself, Lissa.
Hi, I'm Lissa Harris. Longtime Margaretville resident. My family's been here for, I think, 7 generations. And for a while I was running a news outlet here called the Watershed Post. And we covered the Irene floods pretty extensively. So that was kind of my introduction to the local fire department.
And did you get a warm welcome when you joined up? What is it like here? What's the atmosphere?
I did. I was terrified to walk in the door. I thought they were going to laugh at me.
How come?
It was sort of culturally intimidating. Most of our members, I think most of members of volunteer fire departments generally are people who've been in firefighting families for a long time. They have lots of relatives in the departments. There's kind of a culture of that, and that is both, it's kind of a double-edged sword because it's morale, it's cohesiveness, it's community, but it's also can be intimidating to be outside of it and to not really understand it and to go, is there a place for me there? And I was pleasantly surprised to walk in and get a very warm welcome, and I was like, oh wow, now I have to show up. So I'm trying to do that.
How often are you able to respond to calls?
I try to, when I am on active duty, I try to make it to every structure fire call that I can. I try to make it to our trainings. The training that you have to get in order to be interior certified, which I did get from the state, it's 2 separate courses. There's a 79-hour course called Basic Exterior Firefighting Operations, and then once you pass that, you have to do another 50 hours of interior firefighting operations before you can be certified to wear an air pack and be interior in a structure. So that is a big time commitment, and it's one of the barriers to getting new people to sign up because it's daunting to immediately have to launch into that training. It's offered at specific times in the year through the county. You could also go into a neighboring county, but it's not like these things are kind of running all the time. You have to sign up for a specific course, and it's hands-on, so you need to be there. They have made it a little easier in terms of some of the class being online in recent years, which is nice.
So everyone has a role, right? And not everybody's driving a truck, not everybody's actively fighting the fire. So what are some of the roles that people have?
I think of the fire police. My friend Jen Cabot is a member of the fire police, and she's actually allergic to smoke. So she found her place in the fire department, even though she has asthma and can't really be around smoke. But what their role is to direct traffic around scenes and make sure that the vehicles, both our vehicles and anybody else that might be coming in or out of the scene, are safe. And it's I would say is every bit as dangerous and important as the job of firefighting itself. They're critical. There's roles for people who want to climb ladders and fight fires, and then there's other roles too.
What is your role?
I mean, I like to climb ladders and fight fires. I'm still one of the younger, or one of the newer, I should say, not necessarily younger, but one of the newer members. So I try to listen and follow people that really know what they're doing if I'm on a scene. But yeah, I want to get in there.
And also our secretary.
I am also our secretary. This is true. Yes. I'm not sure that's a job anyone's clamoring for, but it's important to have the administration of things go smoothly. So we have to step up to those roles as well.
What can either of you tell me about the capabilities of this firehouse? What can you do?
So we have the only ladder truck on the eastern far corner of the county. It's ourselves, Stanford Fire Department, Delhi, Walton. I can remember off the top of my head. We're the only ones that are equipped with ladder trucks. Ours is a tower truck or a platform, which allows us to reach up high rises. Like we've got the mountainside residential home, we've got the hospital here. They're the higher buildings that we need to have that ladder truck for. We're equipped with swift water, auto extrication, standard firefighting. We do have a Polaris Ranger side-by-side for brush fires, a brush truck, 3,000-gallon tanker. So we've got quite a bit of equipment, luckily.
What do you think are the unique challenges of this area?
Well, it's a very rural setting, as we all know and love about the Catskills, and it makes it difficult because we are kind of out in the middle of nowhere. If we need anything, we've got to go a ways to get it. And luckily, by all of our training and all the equipment that we're lucky to have, we're able to offer a lot of those services that you're normally only going to see in the bigger cities.
And the strength of the volunteer corps here, I hear nationwide it's diminishing, but as far as Margaretville's concerned, what's the kind of the health of the department?
Well, we're battling along with the nation with the struggle of trying to find volunteers. We've been lucky and gotten a few in here over the last year, and if we can keep getting a couple here and there, be able to build back up again.
What do you see as the reason for the decline in the first place?
We used to have a lot of members, but unfortunately they have grown older and they've transitioned to fire police, so we still have them, thankfully, but we just don't see a lot of influx of the younger generations like we used to. When I joined, there was 16 of us that were still in high school or just out of high school when we all joined, and you don't see that anymore, unfortunately.
What would you say to somebody listening who maybe has just a seed in their mind that, oh, maybe this is something I could try, but maybe something's holding them back?
If you have any inclination about being a firefighter, then you can be one. There is absolutely no reason at all that anybody cannot be a firefighter. Just because you don't like to go inside of a burning building, which doesn't make sense, but we're firefighters. That's what we do. We don't make sense. There's plenty of other jobs. There's fire police. There's being aid to the driver of the truck. There's a job for everybody. And if you have any worries or doubts, don't worry about it. Wherever you are, your firehouse should take you in with open arms, happily, and they will give you the training. They will take the time. They will teach you, and they'll work with you. Because that's all we want, is to see more people be willing to volunteer and step forward for, saving life and property.
As you contemplate volunteering for your own community fire department, here's a quick message from our local sponsors. And when we return, it's off to the Margaretville field, where prop windows are hung and deck guns are blasting.
This episode is brought to you by Briars and Brambles Books, the go-to independent book and gift store in the Catskills. Located in Windham, New York, right next to the pharmacy, just steps away from the Windham Path. Open daily. For more information, visit briarsandbramblesbooks.com or call 518-750-8599. Kaatscast is sponsored by the Mountain Eagle, covering Delaware, Greene, and Schoharie counties, including brands for local regions like the Windham Weekly, Schoharie News, and Catskills Chronicle. For more information, call 518-763-6854 or email mountaineaglenews@gmail.com.
On the edge of a field in Margaretville, New York, firefighters blasted prop windows, hanging about 75 feet away from a fire engine with 1,000 gallons of water in the tank. Running the gun at full blast, they emptied that tank in just under a minute. At that rate, you could fill a good-sized bathtub in about 3.5 seconds.
Yep. As soon as you run out of water, shut it down. That's it. You're out. Hit your idle and close it off. That was 1,000 gallons. Hawkinsville's truck 1611, their new engine, that's got 1,000 gallons on board. Our primary engine, which is also our rescue truck, that has 750 gallons on board. This truck right here, this is our tanker.
Yep.
This is, its sole purpose is to bring massive amount of water, and 3,000 gallons is what we'll bring.
And then can you tap into a local water source?
Yeah, so we've got hard suction and strainers. We'll throw it right into the creek and draft right out of the river or whatever water source we can find, including ponds or what have you. If we go to a house fire and they have a pond or a stream right there, we will use that pond or stream as long as it's sufficient in order to get a close water source in order to effectively fight the fire. We've got connections up at our station, like hose reels that are up in the ceiling. We just drop those down and we fill the truck right from the roof.
And so do they sit filled?
Yes, yeah, all our trucks will sit filled, fueled, ready to respond 24/7.
I'd say most of the fires that we go to, you're not going to find a hydrant. So,
No, we do not have hydrants.
I have never personally used a hydrant on a scene.
With the infrastructure the way that it is with the village, it is a small village. If we need to use the hydrants, we're only on it for a very short amount of time until we can establish our own water supply. It's not something that we can sustain off of for an entire, if we had a fire on, a large house right on Main Street, God forbid, or something like that.
And this seems pretty high tech. You've got this kind of robotic...
It has come a long way. Hawkinsville's truck is more of the traditional manual style, where ours is all electronic motor controlled, all actuator controlled.
Does that speed things along because guys can stay down here or what's the benefit of that?
It does. It allows you to be able to, with that wired remote, you can walk around, get different view angles of what the stream is doing, whether you're making positive impression on the fire, whether you're completely missing it, allows you to line it up better, get better usage of your water flow.
Between drills, I asked volunteer Nate Hendricks.
How much of this is for kind of sharpening human skills, and how much of it is just making sure that the equipment works?
All of the above.
Yeah,
very much so. Yep, for everybody to familiarize, refresh, with the apparatus and how everything works and our response. But also, you gotta work the equipment too, because if you don't, just like with anything else, if you don't use it, you'll lose it.
I asked Nate how long he's been a volunteer with the department.
23 years.
So that's a long commitment.
It is. But when you grow up, you're raised in a rural community, and your father's a volunteer firefighter, and all your friends' fathers are volunteer firefighters. It's kind of what you know in a small town. And when you have the local commitment to give back, it's just when you turn 18, it's one thing we did back then, and here we are, 23 years later.
So we were talking a little bit about how that's been declining, that volunteerism. Do you have any insights on why that is?
I think there's many reasons, little reasons. Obviously, we're in a very rural area to begin with not a ton of people around, let alone full-time people that live in the area. We're really looking for anybody who is willing and able to pitch in any way, shape, or form.
How do you, or how does anybody, balance what you do for a living, what you do during the day, and your commitment to the fire department? I would imagine it's not always easy.
No, it's definitely tough because we all have our regular 9-to-5 job, but at the same time, at least for me, it's all about giving back to the community. And when I want to say everybody knows everybody, you never know who could be in need or in a time of struggle, no matter what type of incident it might be. And for me, I just want to be able to, as much as I can, be able to be there and help out, your friends and neighbors when they might be in that need.
Give me a sense of how regularly the calls come in and what they're for. Is there something that kind of dominates? Is it always a house fire, or it's got to be a whole bunch of things, right?
Yeah, it's a variety of things, for sure. Fortunately, and knock on wood, we don't get many structure fires, let alone house fires. Sometimes if we do, a lot of times it can be like a vacant house. But it really runs the range of setting up landing zones for helicopters, for any EMS calls to assist EMS with loading any patients that need to be shipped out to another facility, to brush fires. The spring is very well known for wildland brush fires, grass fires, occasional motor vehicle accident, a lot of alarm activations with these security systems for any homes that have a security system that could be, for one reason or another, set off. So it's really quite a variety. But fortunately, as far as active fires, structure fires, we don't see a ton of those, thankfully.
Can you tell me a little bit about how a volunteer fire department is funded? So obviously the manpower is all volunteer, but there's a lot of expenses. I mean, these are some big, very expensive looking trucks, and everything that goes along with it. So where does that money come from, and where's the need to keep it going?
So we are the Middletown Hardenburg Fire District, and so we have a board of fire commissioners that manage that. It now includes both Margaretville Fire Department and Hawkinsville Fire Department. So really it's those district dollars that fund our apparatus, our equipment. And then the fundraiser that we do individually as the fire department kind of allows for our everyday operational expenses, our annual dinner, our monthly business meetings, kind of the soft cost component of that. But everything, kind of the large scale stuff, is all through the Middletown Hardenburg Fire District.
Following a blitz attack training from Hawkinsville's brand new truck, Christy Goodell climbed down from the deck. She's employed with the local telephone company and responds to calls on evenings and weekends.
This truck for Hawkettsville is a brand new truck, and so we're just getting a chance to learn our new truck, just giving us an opportunity to get better at running the equipment, getting better aim with the deck gun. As you saw that we were, obviously we have to aim for those two windows over there, and that's really what it's about, is just making sure that we can do our job granted we're volunteers, but it's a job to us. Volunteering is about giving back to your community and the people that you live with and around, and I think that's what everybody has to remember, because one day that could be your family member that's in need of help, and it could be their home or a car accident or whatever. And I think it's important for everybody to realize that, and for them to get out there and help, because that's the dying thing today, is volunteerism, and we really need to give back.
Leaving the Margaretville field that evening, I stopped to say hello to Bob Vining. He serves as fire police and was sitting in his truck keeping an eye on the training area. Bob's 83 years old, and he's been volunteering with the department since, before I was born.
What are all of the things that you've done for the department over the years?
Well, I've been in communications, I've been firefighter, now I've been fire police, done just about everything there is to do.
So this current role of fire police, what does that entail?
Keeping the traffic away from the scene, keeping the fire department safe. All the guys are running back and forth, stuff like that, you can't have traffic going through. So that's what we have to do, direct the traffic around the scene.
What do you think about volunteerism in general? Is it something that's fallen off over the years?
Oh, big time.
How come?
I have no clue, I don't know. The younger generation don't, most of them, they graduate from high school, they go someplace. Go away from college, and sometimes one or two will come back, but most of them stay away. If you don't have anybody available, you're sunk. We had 75 members. When I got in, there was a waiting list. And now we got 35 members or something like that. And only about 10 of them show up.
What would you say for anybody who's considering volunteering?
We'll be glad to have you.
Kaatscast, the Catskills podcast, is a production of Silver Hollow Audio. Transcripts by Jerome Kozlowskis. Announcements by Campbell Brown. And I'm Brett Barry, host and producer. And if you want to see that documentary I mentioned, featuring Phoenicia's Gene Gormley, click the link in our show notes. Kaatscast is now broadcasting from WJFF Radio Catskill, Saturdays at 11 a.m. Tune in at 90.5 FM or on WJFFradio.org for our hour-long broadcast featuring updated and expanded stories, plus brand new content. And of course, you can visit us anytime at Kaatscast.com and wherever you get your podcasts. Please subscribe, rate, and review to help other listeners discover the show. And you can follow us on Instagram at Kaatscast. Thank you.
Join us as a monthly member listener or make a one-time contribution at Kaatscast.com/support. Thank you.